Sometimes walking away is the only way to win a fight that wasn't worth starting. Welcome, chosen ones. Let's talk about your gift, your unmatched ability to walk away. Some call it cold, others call it cruel, but the truth? It's power. Raw, unapologetic power. When you value your peace over someone else's chaos, your boundaries become a masterpiece, like a sword forged in fire, cutting through the noise and leaving nothing but clarity behind. And thank you. Yes, you, the chosen one. Whether this is your first time here or you've been standing firm with us on this journey, your presence and super gifts are the driving force behind this mission. You're not just here, you're meant to be here. If you're ready to harness your power, perfect your cut-off game, and walk away from the drama with your head held high, then this is your moment. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this message with someone who needs the courage to step away from chaos and reclaim their peace. Drop a comment below with 77 if you're ready to make your boundaries the blueprint for transformation. Let's dive in. Think about it. 80% of people will resent you for leaving their drama behind. They'll whisper, complain, and even spin stories to justify their bitterness. But here's the kicker. 100% of them will secretly respect you for it. Your strength shines a light on their weakness, and that's a mirror most people don't want to face. It's like a moth drawn to a flame, captivated but terrified of getting burned. Look at history's most celebrated figures: Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, Maya Angelou. They didn't climb to greatness by dragging everyone with them. They walked away when people, environments, or habits didn't align with their purpose. Oprah once said, "You can't heal in the same environment that made you sick." Walking away isn't just survival, it's evolution. Here's a metaphor for you. Imagine you're a lighthouse standing tall, guiding others through storms. But instead of sailing to safety, some people stay stuck in the tempest, blaming you for not jumping into the waves with them. That's not your responsibility. Your light exposes the storm for what it is, and that's enough to send them into a tailspin. Walking away is more than a choice. It's a reckoning. You didn't abandon their ship. They refused to row. And when you step back, the drama they clung to becomes painfully obvious. It's like watching a magician's trick fall apart without their assistant. Their illusion only worked because you were there to play along. Don't waste your energy feeling guilty about it. Guilt is the thief of joy, and you've come too far to let regret chain you down. When you cut someone off, it's not just an act of separation. It's an act of liberation. Their circus doesn't deserve your attendance, let alone your applause. Without you, the show crumbles. Let me tell you this. Your ability to detach is the earthquake they never saw coming. Your departure isn't just a tremor, it's a full-blown tectonic shift. They're not just falling backwards, they're stumbling into themselves, forced to face the reflection of their own chaos. So, chosen ones, never apologize for valuing your peace. Walking away isn't a loss, it's a gain, a step toward freedom, clarity, and growth. And the irony? Your absence speaks louder than any argument ever could. Stay bold, stay unshaken, and let your cut-off game continue to be a masterpiece of self-respect. Now, let's dive even deeper. Number 1. Drawing boundaries, your shield against their chaos. Stop asking why they treat you poorly and start questioning why you keep letting them. Chosen ones, this is the cold truth. Your boundaries aren't just guidelines, they're weapons of survival. And when you wield them, they cut deep into the ego of those who've fed off your kindness, your patience, and your silence. Walking away isn't weakness, it's your declaration of war on their entitlement. Here's the brutal reality. People cross lines because you let them. They think your peace is their playground, your time is their trash bin, and your kindness is their free pass to act like fools. When you finally say, "Enough," it's not just a slap in the face. It's an earthquake that shakes their fragile little world. You didn't change. You just stopped letting them benefit from your tolerance. And oh, does it sting? Picture this. You're the bank, and they've been overdrawing from your account for years. The moment you close their access, they're outraged. Not because they're hurt, but because their free ride is over. They'll call you selfish, cold, even cruel. But what they're really saying is, "How dare you stop me from exploiting you?" That's the kind of delusion you're dealing with. And let's be honest, they never thought you'd actually pull the trigger. They laughed when you warned them, rolled their eyes when you hinted at your limits, and smirked when you showed restraint. But now, your silence is deafening. It's the sound of their circus losing its star attraction. And guess what? The tent collapses without you. People hate boundaries because boundaries expose the truth. They reveal who's been taking and who's been giving. They're a mirror to their manipulation, their games, their selfishness. When you shut the door, they're left standing outside, staring at their reflection. And trust me, chosen ones, they don't like what they see. It's like a magician being forced to perform without props. The illusion falls apart, and they're left floundering in their own mediocrity. But don't let their guilt trips fool you. They'll cry crocodile tears, make grand speeches, and pretend to change. Why? Not because they care, but because they're desperate to regain control. Remember this. People who truly respect you don't have to be forced to treat you right. They don't need a lesson in how not to be toxic. If they have to be taught, they're not worth your time. Here's what hits them hardest. Your absence isn't just a loss. It's a reckoning. Without you, their facade crumbles. They fall backwards, not because they didn't see it coming, but because they thought you were too weak to leave. Joke's on them. You were never weak. You were waiting for the right moment to cut them loose and watch them spiral into the chaos they created. So stop explaining yourself. Stop second-guessing. Walk away and let your silence speak louder than their noise ever could. Boundaries aren't just shields. They're the detonators that blow their delusions to pieces. And when the dust settles, you're still standing, stronger and freer than ever. They wanted your energy, but they couldn't handle your worth. That's their failure, not yours. Number 2. You saw the web before they even spun it. Some people build their traps, not realizing you're the one who taught the architect. Chosen ones, your gift is rare, sharp, and utterly unshakable. You see the chaos before it even begins. It's not luck, and it's certainly not guesswork. It's the result of surviving too many storms, dodging too many daggers, and spotting too many wolves in sheep's clothing. You've become a master of decoding intentions before they even take form, and that terrifies those who thought they could outplay you. This isn't about paranoia, it's about precision. You've lived enough to recognize the warning signs, the too sweet compliments that mask envy, the subtle shifts in tone that foreshadow betrayal, the unspoken tension in a room filled with fake smiles. You don't wait for the drama to explode. You see the fuse, the match, and the hand ready to light it, and you walk away before the fireworks even start. Here's the part they can't handle: your timing. While they're still sharpening their knives and rehearsing their lines, you've already left the stage. They were gearing up for the grand performance, expecting you to play the fool, and instead, you gave them a ghost. Their schemes collapse without an audience, and they're left scrambling, trying to figure out how you knew. The truth? You didn't just see their game, you've already played it, mastered it, and outgrown it. This ability is your superpower. It's not fear, it's clarity. You don't need to confront every schemer, argue with every liar, or call out every fraud. That's a waste of energy, and you have bigger things to focus on. Like a seasoned chess player, you know when to make a move and when to leave the board entirely. Not every piece deserves your attention, and not every battle is worth your time. Walking away isn't running, it's strategy. While they're tangled in the web they were weaving for you, you're already building a life free from their drama. You've decided that your peace, your purpose, and your energy are too valuable to be caught up in their petty games. And that decision, it's like flipping a mirror in their face. They're forced to stare into the void of their own schemes, realizing they've been left to deal with themselves. But don't expect them to admit defeat. They'll call you names, spread rumors, and play the victim, all in a desperate attempt to save face. Let them. Their words mean nothing to someone who's already moved on. You've seen their tricks, dodged their traps, and exited their circus. Their chaos doesn't deserve a second thought. Remember this: walking away isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It's the ultimate power move, leaving them bewildered and powerless. You saw the web before they spun it, and now they're left tangled in the mess they created. That's not your problem, it's their reality. Number 3. Leaving them in the dust of their own chaos. They say you're running, but the truth is, you're soaring above the mess they created. Walking away isn't about proving a point, it's about preserving your soul. Yet they'll twist it, won't they? They'll say you're making a power move, playing a game, trying to be the bigger person for show. But here's the truth they refuse to admit. They don't know what to do with someone who refuses to dance in their circus. Your exit isn't a flex, it's freedom. They say staying is noble, that sticking it out proves strength. But what they don't tell you is that staying in their chaos is like trying to tread water in quicksand. It pulls you down piece by piece until there's nothing left of you. You've learned this the hard way. The longer you stay, the more you lose. So you don't stay anymore. You've made a different choice. You've decided your peace is worth more than their dysfunction. And what do they say about that? They say you're cold, that you're selfish, that you're the one who gave up. But isn't it funny how those same people wouldn't hesitate to cut you loose if the roles were reversed? They'd call it necessary, practical, even self-care. But when you walk away, it's suddenly an attack, a calculated power move. No, chosen one. It's not about them. It never was. Your exit is about reclaiming yourself, and that's what they can't stomach. They say you're playing games, but the reality is you've left the board entirely. They were counting on you to engage, to argue, to cling to the crumbs they offered. But when you walked away, you flipped the script. No shouting, no theatrics, just silence. And that silence, it's louder than any argument could ever be. It echoes in the empty space you left behind, forcing them to face the truth. Their chaos wasn't enough to keep you. They'll say you're being dramatic, but here's the kicker. They thrived on the drama when it served them. The constant back and forth, the manipulation, the endless cycles of guilt and blame. They were the ringmasters, and you were the show. By walking away, you've pulled the curtain on their performance, leaving them to fumble in the spotlight. It's not a power move, it's a peace move, and that's exactly why it hits so hard. They'll project their insecurities onto you because it's easier than owning up to their failures. They'll call you heartless, accuse you of thinking you're better than them. But let's be honest, they're not angry because you left. They're angry because you left on your own terms. You didn't wait for their permission or their apology. You didn't beg for validation or closure. You just walked, and in doing so, you shattered their illusion of control. Let them say what they want. Let them twist your story to suit their narrative. The truth is, walking away isn't about them. It's about you. It's about refusing to let their chaos dictate your life. It's about choosing peace over the noise, clarity over confusion, self-worth over self-sacrifice. And if they can't handle that, well, that's their problem, not yours. So let them talk. Let them flounder in the wake of your absence, because while they're busy spinning their tales, you're busy reclaiming your time, your energy, your life. And that's not just a peace move. It's the ultimate power they never saw coming. Number 4, cutting off their lifeline of your energy. They say you abandoned them, but the truth is, they were drowning you to stay afloat. Chosen ones, your energy is a magnet, a light so bright it draws people in like moths to a flame. It's not just your kindness or strength, it's your ability to make others feel seen, supported, and understood. You're the safe harbor in their storm, the calm in their chaos. But here's the hard truth. Not everyone who clings to your light appreciates its warmth. Some latch on, not to grow, but to drain. They say you're cruel for leaving, but the reality, they were addicted to your presence, dependent on your energy to keep themselves from falling apart. For them, you weren't a person. You were a lifeline. They leaned on you, not because they valued you, but because it allowed them to avoid doing the hard work of saving themselves. And when you finally walked away, it was like ripping away a crutch from someone who never learned to stand. They'll accuse you of betrayal, of being selfish, of abandoning them in their time of need. But where were they when you needed support? While you were lifting them, they let you carry their burdens without a second thought. It wasn't a relationship, it was dependency disguised as connection. And when you realized this, when you saw how they were siphoning your energy to fuel their chaos, you did the only thing you could. You cut the cord. And how did they react? Like addicts losing their fix. They'll lash out, spinning stories to paint you as the villain. But deep down, they know the truth. Your absence isn't just inconvenient, it's devastating. The emotional scaffolding they built on your support collapses, leaving them exposed to the truth they've been running from. You didn't abandon them, you forced them to confront themselves. They say you're heartless for walking away, but they never cared about how much of yourself you were losing to keep them afloat. They never saw the sleepless nights, the drained spirit, the weight you carried that wasn't yours to bear. They only noticed when the flow of your energy stopped. And now, they're scrambling to find another source, another person to latch onto. The hardest part for them isn't losing you, it's losing the illusion they've created. Your exit pulls the rug out from under their excuses. Without you, they're left staring into the void, realizing that all the support you gave didn't fix them because they never wanted to fix themselves. They wanted you to carry their weight while they stayed stagnant. Let them call you names. Let them project their pain. Walking away wasn't cruel, it was necessary. You didn't take their lifeline, you took back your life. And in doing so, you've disrupted the cycle they relied on. They'll either learn to stand on their own or keep falling. Either way, you're free from their grasp. And that freedom, it's your reward for finally choosing yourself. Number 5. Your light exposes their drama for the fraud. It is. They say you're stirring the pot, but the truth is, you've flipped the lid and let everyone see what's been simmering inside. Drama thrives in darkness, whispers, half-truths, manipulation and chaos. It survives when people are too blind to see it or too afraid to confront it. But then you walk in, chosen one, carrying a light so pure, so unrelenting, that the shadows have nowhere to hide. Their drama doesn't just stumble in your presence, It crumbles. They say you're the problem, that you create tension wherever you go. But let's be clear, the tension was always there. You didn't create the mess, you revealed it. Your clarity, your focus, your refusal to play into their games. These are the tools that dismantle their illusions. While others are too tangled in their web of lies to see the strings, you walk in and see the puppet master immediately. And that terrifies them. Drama can't survive when the truth is laid bare, and your very existence brings the truth to light. You don't have to shout, argue, or point fingers. Simply by being in the room, you make their schemes obvious. Lies fall apart when your energy is present because you embody authenticity, and their chaos can't compete. It's like shining a spotlight on a stage they thought was hidden. They're exposed, vulnerable, and scrambling to recover. They'll say you're judgmental or overly critical, but what they really mean is, your light makes me uncomfortable because it forces me to confront my darkness. They're used to operating in the shadows, where their manipulation goes unnoticed and their chaos feels normal. But you bring a new reality, one where their games are painfully obvious. You don't tolerate the toxicity, and because of that, their drama shrivels under your gaze. Walking into their world is like tossing a bucket of cold water on their burning fire. They don't know how to react because they've never faced someone who won't engage, who won't feed the flames. Your refusal to play along is their undoing. And when you finally walk away, it's not just your absence they feel, it's the gaping hole left where their illusions used to be. Without you to expose the truth, they're stuck in their own mess, with no one else to blame. Drama needs darkness to thrive, and your light is its greatest threat. That's why they'll try to twist your narrative, paint you as difficult, call you out for disrupting the peace. But that peace? It was never real. It was a mask covering the chaos you uncovered. Let them talk. Let them scramble. The truth is, you didn't bring the drama. You brought the clarity that killed it. So don't dim your light to make them comfortable. Keep shining, chosen one. Let their drama dissolve under the brilliance of your truth, because in the end, their circus can't perform when every spotlight is focused on the lies holding it together. Number 6. The audacity to choose yourself over their chaos. They say you're selfish, but the truth is, you finally had the courage to stop betraying yourself. Society loves to push the lie that loyalty means suffering in silence. Stay in the toxic relationship because of the memories. Stay in the draining friendship because of time invested. Stay in the situation that eats away at your soul because leaving might hurt someone else. But chosen one, let's be clear, staying isn't noble when it comes at the cost of your sanity. Staying isn't love when it feels like self-betrayal. They'll call it audacious, this decision to choose yourself. They'll label you as heartless for walking away, but the irony, they were the ones who built their comfort on your discomfort. They thrived on your willingness to endure, to forgive, to be their emotional punching bag while they dumped chaos at your feet. When you finally said, enough, it wasn't just your presence they lost, it was their safety net. Here's why it hits them so hard. Your decision to walk away didn't just leave them feeling abandoned, it left them exposed. They relied on you to smooth over their rough edges, to clean up the mess their actions created, and to endure their disrespect because they knew you'd never fight back. Your patience became their permission, your forgiveness became their excuse. But when you finally chose yourself, the rug they were standing on disappeared, and they fell flat into the reality they'd been avoiding. They'll spin the story, of course. They'll say you've changed, that you've become selfish, that you've forgotten all the good times. But the truth. The good times they're clinging to were just moments when you tolerated their chaos without complaint. They want the old you back, the version who put their needs above your own, who stayed in the fire just to keep them warm. But that version of you no longer exists. You've grown, evolved, and learned the power of saying no. And let's not pretend they're angry because you hurt them. No, they're angry because you've shattered the illusion that their needs were more important than your peace. Your self-preservation feels like betrayal to them because it forces them to see just how much they relied on you to fix what they refused to face. By choosing yourself, you've held up a mirror to their selfishness, and they don't like what they see. Let them call you names. Let them twist the narrative. Walking away isn't selfish, it's survival. You didn't betray them. You stopped betraying yourself. And the audacity to do that. It's the greatest act of love you can show to yourself. So let them talk. Let them sulk. You owe no one an apology for choosing your peace, your happiness, your life. The ones who truly care for you will understand, and the ones who don't, well, they were never on your side to begin with. Keep walking, chosen one. Your self-preservation isn't just audacious, it's revolutionary. Number 7. Your exit exposes the truth they can't hide. They say you're the problem, but the truth is, your absence stripped away their mask. Walking away isn't just an act of self-preservation, it's the ultimate litmus test. When you leave, the false smiles, fake sincerity, and hidden motives they've been carefully concealing come rushing to the surface. Your presence often acted as their glue, the thing holding their shaky facade together. But the moment you step back, the cracks in their persona become impossible to ignore. They'll say you were dramatic, disloyal, or ungrateful for leaving. But here's the irony. Their reaction to your departure says more about them than any words ever could. The lashing out, the twisting of the narrative, the frantic scramble to shift blame, all of it screams insecurity. It reveals the truth they've been desperately trying to hide. They weren't as in control as they pretended to be. They needed you far more than you ever needed them. And make no mistake, chosen one, your departure wasn't just a disruption, it was a spotlight. It forced them to show their hand. The ones who were genuine, they'll respect your decision, even if it hurts them. But the manipulators, the toxic ones, and the ones who thrived on your energy, they'll lash out, spin stories, and play the victim. Their reaction isn't grief over losing you, it's panic over losing the benefits your presence brought them. Think about it. Some people only stayed close because they thought you didn't see through them. They were banking on your loyalty, your kindness, your ability to forgive. But when you left, they weren't prepared for the consequences. Your exit didn't just disrupt their plans, it forced them to face themselves. The lies they told, the manipulation they used, the chaos they created. It's all laid bare without you there to cover for them. Here's the part they hate the most. Your silence is louder than their noise. You don't have to call them out or explain your decision. The fact that you walked away speaks volumes. And as they scramble to justify their behavior, their true colors become clearer to everyone around them. They reveal themselves, not because you pushed them to, but because they can't handle the accountability your absence demands. Let them twist the story. Let them tell anyone who will listen that you're the villain. The truth always has a way of surfacing, and the people who matter will see it for what it is. You don't need to defend yourself or engage in their theatrics. Your exit has already done the work for you. Walking away isn't just leaving, it's unmasking. It's forcing them to confront the reality of who they are without your presence to soften the blow. And in the end, Chosen one, the only thing exposed is the truth they tried so hard to hide. Keep walking, keep shining, and let their true colors bleed through. You've already won. Number 8. You don't argue, you exit the stage. They say you owe them an explanation, but the truth is, you don't owe them a second of your peace. Drama thrives on arguments. It's the oxygen that keeps its fire burning. The yelling, the back and forth, the endless debates over who's right and who's wrong. But you, chosen one, have figured out the secret. The best way to win isn't to argue, it's to leave. You don't fight for the last word, and you don't try to justify yourself. You make a simple, powerful decision. This is not for me. They say you're avoiding the issue, that you're afraid of confrontation. But the truth? You're not afraid. You're done. You've learned that nothing productive comes from arguing with someone who's committed to misunderstanding you. Engaging in their chaos doesn't prove your worth. It drains your energy. You've mastered the art of walking away, not because you're weak, but because you know better than to waste your breath on battles that can't be won. Your silence hits harder than any retort ever could. They expect you to defend yourself, to plead your case, to beg for their validation, but instead you give them nothing. No fuel for their drama, no reaction to feed their ego, no attention to keep their game alive. Your decision to leave isn't a retreat. It's a statement. You don't control me. And that's what they can't handle. They want the fight because the fight gives them power. When you step away, you rob them of the stage they were hoping to perform on. It's not just a refusal to argue, it's a refusal to play. And that terrifies them. They don't know what to do with someone who doesn't flinch, who doesn't engage, who simply walks away with their head held high. Here's the truth. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. When you see the red flags, you don't stick around to debate their intentions. You don't waste time convincing them of your perspective or trying to change their behavior. You make a quiet, unshakable decision. This isn't worth my peace. And then you leave. No theatrics, no explanations. Just a calm exit that leaves them reeling. They'll call you cold, detached, even heartless. Let them. Their words are nothing more than a last-ditch effort to pull you back into the chaos. But you've outgrown their circus. You don't need their approval, and you certainly don't need their drama. Your peace isn't up for negotiation. Walking away isn't just a choice. It's a power move wrapped in grace. It's the ultimate refusal to be dragged into someone else's storm. So let them rant. Let them fume. Let them twist the story. You've already made your decision, and that decision speaks louder than any argument ever could. You don't argue, chosen one. You decide. And that's what makes you untouchable. Number 9. Walking away, the move that leaves them speechless. They say you gave up, but the truth is, you saw the battlefield for what it was. A waste of your energy. Walking away isn't weakness, chosen one. It's wisdom in action. It's knowing that staying in a fight that serves no purpose isn't courage. It's self-destruction. True strength lies not in enduring the chaos, but in having the clarity to step away from it. Leaving isn't running. It's choosing your peace over their noise. They'll say you quit, that you couldn't handle it. But let's be honest, the ones throwing those accusations are the same people who cling to chaos because they don't know how to thrive without it. For them, staying in a toxic situation feels like a badge of honor, but for you, it's a drain you refuse to accept. You've learned that not every battle is yours to fight, and not every situation is worth your time. Here's what they won't admit. Your decision to leave isn't just strength, it's strategy. Staying in their storm means playing by their rules, and their rules are designed to keep you spinning, stuck, and distracted. But when you walk away, you flip the script. You strip them of their control, leave them scrambling for a reaction, and force them to face the void your presence once filled. It's not retreat. It's a master move. Leaving takes more courage than staying ever could. Staying in dysfunction is easy. It's familiar, it's predictable, and it requires no growth. But walking away, that takes guts. It means stepping into the unknown, trusting yourself enough to choose better, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. It's not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you've outgrown the games they play. And here's the part that really hits them. When you leave, you don't just take your presence. You take the energy, support, and validation they depended on. They'll lash out, call you selfish, accuse you of abandoning them. But that's just their fear talking. They're terrified because they know that without you, they're left with nothing but the mess they created. Walking away isn't about running from conflict. It's about refusing to waste your time in battles that lead nowhere. It's about protecting your peace, valuing your energy, and choosing yourself over their dysfunction. They can twist the narrative all they want, but deep down, they know the truth. Leaving wasn't your weakness. It was your liberation. Let them think you've given up. Let them say you're afraid. The reality is, walking away isn't surrender. It's strategy. It's a declaration that you're no longer willing to play by rules designed to break you. And in the end, the strongest move you can make is choosing to leave a battlefield that was never worthy of your fight. Keep walking, chosen one. Your clarity is your crown, and your peace is your victory. Number 10. Your absence forces them to face themselves. They say you abandoned them, but the truth is, you left them alone with the one person they've been running from, themselves. Chosen one, your presence was more than just comforting. It was their cover. You were the shield that absorbed their mistakes, the mirror that reflected the best version of them, even when they didn't deserve it. But when you walk away, that mirror shatters, and they're left staring at the unfiltered reality of their own actions. They'll call you the problem, claim you caused the chaos by leaving. But let's get one thing straight. Their chaos existed long before you stepped into their world. What your absence does is expose it. They thrived on your patience, your forgiveness, your ability to carry the weight of their poor decisions without breaking. You were their safety net, their excuse to keep stumbling, because they knew you'd always be there to catch them. But now, the net is gone, and the fall is theirs alone. Here's the harsh reality they don't want to admit. Your departure wasn't just a loss, it was a reckoning. Without you, they have no one to blame, no one to project their failures onto, no one to cushion the blow of their own shortcomings. The void you leave behind doesn't just feel empty, it feels like accountability, and that's a weight they're not prepared to carry. They say you're cold for walking away, but the truth is, you showed them warmth they never appreciated. You gave them chance after chance, extended grace they took for granted, and forgave mistakes they never even acknowledged. But when you finally decided enough was enough, their world didn't just shift, it collapsed. Your patience allowed them to avoid their reflection, but your absence forces them to stare directly into it. And how do they respond? Some lash out, desperate to twist the narrative so they can avoid the truth. Others retreat, sinking into denial and self-pity because accountability is too much for them to handle. But the common thread is this. Your exit reveals everything they were trying to hide, not just from you, but from themselves. You didn't abandon them. You left them with the reality they've been avoiding. Let them call you selfish, cruel, or uncaring. Those words are just shields they use to deflect from their own guilt. The truth is, they're struggling not with your absence, but with what it represents. A world where they can no longer rely on you to fix what they broke. And that's not your burden to carry anymore. Walking away isn't abandonment. It's empowerment. You gave them every opportunity to step up, to grow, to take responsibility. They chose not to. Your absence doesn't just leave a void, it leaves a challenge. Whether they rise to meet it or fall under its weight is no longer your concern. Keep walking, chosen one. Their accountability is their battle to fight, not yours to bear. Number 11. Your exit becomes the standard they can't ignore. They say you're overreacting, but the truth is, you've set the bar higher than their games could ever reach. Chosen one, when you walk away, it's more than a personal decision, it's a declaration. You're not just reclaiming your peace, you're establishing a precedent that self-worth is non-negotiable. Your exit isn't just a moment, it's a message that reverberates in every corner of their chaos, forcing everyone to take notice. They'll dismiss your departure as impulsive or unnecessary, but deep down, they know what it means. You've drawn a line in the sand, a line that says, "I will not tolerate disrespect, manipulation, or half-hearted effort." And that line, it's a boundary they can't cross without confronting their own inadequacies. Your decision isn't just about you, it's a mirror that reflects their behavior and a challenge for others to do the same. Your exit isn't just felt, it's seen. Others who've been watching from the sidelines, stuck in their own toxic situations, suddenly realize they have permission to choose themselves too. Your courage becomes their inspiration. You've shown them that walking away isn't a sign of weakness. It's a testament to your strength. By leaving, you've broken the cycle, and now others are questioning why they're still stuck in it. And that's exactly why it hit so hard. They were counting on you to stay, to bend, to accept the bare minimum. But when you left, you shattered their expectations. You've shown them that loyalty without reciprocity is a trap, and endurance without respect is a prison. You forced them to see that the price of their behavior is losing access to people like you. Some will try to twist the narrative, claiming you're difficult, too demanding, or full of yourself. But those words are just the echoes of their bruised egos. They're not angry at you, they're angry because they know you're right. Your exit exposes their mediocrity and forces them to reckon with a truth they've been avoiding. You were the standard, and they couldn't meet it. Your choice doesn't just affect the ones you left behind, it ripples outward. It inspires others to evaluate their own boundaries, their own worth, and their own willingness to settle. Your departure is a revolution wrapped in grace, a quiet yet powerful reminder that walking away is sometimes the loudest statement you can make. Let them misunderstand. Let them call you names. You've set a precedent, and that precedent doesn't just free you. It challenges everyone else to rise to the level of respect, value, and self-love you've embraced. Your exit isn't the end. It's the beginning of a higher standard for yourself and anyone brave enough to follow your lead. Walk tall, chosen one. Your departure isn't just an act, it's a legacy. Number 12. Your exit becomes the mirror they can't avoid. They say you're the problem, but the truth is, your absence reflects everything they've been running from. Chosen one, your presence was more than comforting. It was a buffer, a shield between them and the reality of their own dysfunction. But when you walk away, that shield disappears, leaving them face to face with the truth they've worked so hard to avoid. You didn't create their chaos. You simply stopped protecting them from it. They'll lash out, twist the story and point fingers, but that's just their fear speaking. They're not angry at you. They're terrified of the reflection staring back at them. When you were there, they could shift the blame, hide their flaws, and lean on your energy to mask their own shortcomings. But your exit leaves no one else to blame. Their flaws, their mistakes, their toxic patterns, they're all laid bare, and they have no choice but to confront them. They say you abandoned them, but let's be honest, what they really miss is the version of themselves they could only sustain because of your presence. You made them feel seen, supported, even valuable, despite their dysfunction. But that wasn't your job, and it certainly wasn't your responsibility. When you finally stepped back, it wasn't just your presence they lost. It was the illusion they'd built around it. Here's the hard truth. By sticking around, you might have been enabling their dysfunction without even realizing it. Your forgiveness allowed them to avoid accountability. Your patience gave them time to keep repeating the same patterns. Your willingness to stay made them think they'd never face consequences. But walking away? That changes everything. Your absence is the reckoning they didn't see coming. And their reaction? It tells you everything. Some will double down, blaming you for their pain, trying desperately to pull you back into the role you've outgrown. Others will retreat into silence, hoping the void you've left will fill itself. But the ones who truly care will face the mirror you've handed them. They'll confront their flaws, own their mistakes, and maybe, just maybe, start the work of becoming better. Don't let their resistance shake you. They'll call you heartless, selfish, or cold, but that's just their defense mechanism kicking in. Deep down, they know the truth. Your departure wasn't an act of malice. It was an act of liberation, for you and for them. By leaving, you've given them the chance to grow, whether they take it or not. You're not the problem, chosen one. You're the mirror. And mirrors don't lie, they reveal. Your exit is a reminder that accountability is inevitable, and no amount of blame shifting can erase the reflection they now have to face. Keep walking, keep shining, and let them deal with what your absence has revealed. Their growth, or their continued chaos, is no longer your concern. And so, chosen ones, your walkaway game isn't just a move, it's a masterpiece. Every step you take away from chaos and towards your peace sends a powerful message. You value yourself, your energy, and your future too much to settle for less. Let them talk. Let them twist the story. Your strength lies in your silence, your clarity, and your refusal to be dragged into their noise. Remember, walking away isn't weakness. It's power, and it's yours to wield. If this message resonated with you, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and share this with someone who needs this truth. Drop 77 in the comments if you're ready to claim your strength and cut ties with the drama. Let's keep walking forward, together.